thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Starting to worry you weren't going to point at me there. I always wonder if the pause against.
He's left me. Where did he go?
Welcome, everyone, for episode 387 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing. Recorded live right here in South Dakota, of course, just like every week. And my name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy. And I am having light problems, so that's why I keep disappearing Tanner.
Yeah,
got this really moody light on me today because one of them decided to not turn on. So maybe I'll get a little brighter as the day goes. I don't know.
We'll see if it pops on there. To be updated as we go. We got probably a couple hours to buckle in here, so we might have all kinds of light updates as we go.
I think we will.
We do have a lot of stuff to cover this week. We've got a sack segment. We've got a huge 50K announcement to get to here. We're going to retouch on gauge of strength versus test of strength, a very heated debate that we'll get into on that. We've got a exciting guest this week at Wall Street, Weightlifter. We're going to talk to him here soon. And then also, I want to let you know that this week's episode of the Massenomics podcast is brought to you by Juggernaut AI. Juggernaut Training Systems is the leader in strength. They've helped thousands of athletes from beginners to world champions maximize their results and reach their goals. They deliver principle-based coaching through cutting-edge technology. That cutting-edge technology is the Juggernaut AI app. It's what we use. You get it on your phone, iPhone, Android, whatever you use. Download it there. It's very simple. When you use our discount code Massenomics, you save 10%, and the total price ends up being about $30 a month, so you almost can't afford not to do it. Juggernaut AI, discount code Massenomics. Get signed up.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Bearfoot Shoes. At Massenomics, we are proud to announce that our official collaboration shoe with Bearfoot Shoes is now available for pre-order. The Ersonomics combines the strength, durability, and comfort of suede leather with lightweight and breathable canvas for a shoe that sits at the top of the food chain. Its wide, flat physique offers a stable podium for your powerful paws, while its flexible nature promotes a gait as natural as a bear prowling western, northeast, South Dakota. Reserve your pair of Ersonomic shoes, which are now available for pre-order at barefoot.store. There's only 250 units available, so make sure you get on this list before they disappear. I shouldn't say get on the list. Make sure you buy them before they disappear. Orders are expected to ship October 2023. And to make the deal a little sweeter, you can add a pair of Barefoot Awesome Wraps to your purchase and use code MASS, and you'll get the Awesome Wraps for free. Awesome Wraps are just a versatile wrap, super stretchy, got that length on them. You can dial them in as tight, as loose as you want. It's a great thing to add into your cart with those shoes. So make sure to buy your pair of Ersonomic shoes at www.barefoot.store. Thank you, Barefoot Shoes.
There is sizes that what I've seen of, some potential fringe sizes starting to sell out already of that. There is a limited quantity. They're not getting more made. So if you want to get in on Ersonomics, order your pair now. Don't wait. You'll miss out and you'll be pissed.
Don't do it.
Don't wait.
Tanner, I think we have to jump into this can right away because
all right,
my throat, there's some mild sickness going around at our house. It's made life a little tough over here lately.
Is it smoky down there too?
Not too much. A little bit though.
Okay.
Up north, is it a little worse?
Yeah, it's pretty smoky today. Forest fire somewhere. What are you drinking over there?
This is raspberry bubbly.
You cracked the bubbly, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I've got here? Can you tell what this is?
Waterloo something.
Yeah, it's a Waterloo. It's a summer berry Waterloo.
Wow, it sounds quite exotic.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll be the judge of that. Summer berries look like we're dealing with black, raz, and blue. Wow. Please. A lot of collateral damage with that crack open there. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Pretty good. It doesn't pack as much of a flavor as I was just kind of.
See, Waterloo's usually big flavor country right there.
I just didn't think it really packed a wallop like I thought it might. What do you give what you're drinking?
I believe raspberry's always been a 3.5 for me.
You going 3.5? This is in that 3.5 territory. There's nothing wrong with it, but just thought it was going to be a little better.
Yeah,
I guess I will give it a 3.5 though.
Just slightly underwhelming.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah, but not bad. It'll get me through the episode.
Yeah. Well, we have some big news to announce, Tanner. We got to make a special point to lead with this because we're really good at not leading with the big news.
Yeah, we'll talk for 2 hours and forget to talk about any of our stuff the entire time.
So, do you want to hit them with it?
Yeah. So first of all, we hit 50,000 followers is the term for Instagram. We had crossed the 50,000 follower barrier on Instagram, which is funny. We'll review this at the end of the calendar year, but that was one of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we both thought pretty confidently that we would not.
I think we both thought that, but I believe I disagreed with you, so we weren't in agreement.
You? Okay.
So I believe I took that we would get it. I think. Okay. I could be totally wrong here, but that's
I know
what
you did that on something. I mean, we'll find out in December, but we did break it because of, being in Instagram's favor all of a sudden on Reels, like literally overnight one day. They said, no, we're going to start showing some of your stuff to people. And
said, you guys are just too funny, too clever, too good to keep a secret any longer.
It is funny, though, like right almost when it was to 50,000, it jumped off a cliff for a while there. And I'm like, if the trend would have kept up, we should have hit it like a few weeks ago even, and then it just like drastically slowed down quickly. So, well, we did cross it. We were excited about crossing it. It's one of those things that it seems really cool. At the end of the day, does it do anything? No, it doesn't do anything.
Well, it does one thing.
It does one thing. We're making it do something.
Actually, does Instagram give you a fun little card, did I see, congratulating you?
They did. And I don't remember, I can't remember the last time we've, if ever, gotten something like that.
It's just, man, YouTube has their cool platinum play buttons. Instagram gives you a fun little on-screen card.
We got a little thing to share. But on its own, it doesn't really do anything. If we have 48,000 followers or 50,000, sure, that doesn't matter. But it is a little bit validating at the same time, where it's like it's good to see the number growing, and it's always fun to hit, benchmarks, I guess.
Yep.
And just it's validating in a way, although it doesn't. For the business, it doesn't just like having 100 more or less followers doesn't matter, obviously.
No, it doesn't. But numbers are fun to chase.
Exactly. It's like you chase all the numbers and eventually, hopefully, they all lead up to something. But this really did lead up to something because we're making it lead up to something. We're going to possibly have, I would say, this is, I don't know, Tommy, you can correct me if you think otherwise, but I would say this is our biggest ever, largest that we've ever had, the single biggest one. I just want to drag it out.
Absolutely
as long as
enormous.
So
the opposite of small. Really
small.
Big.
It's big. It's very big. I think this is going to be our biggest ever sale that we've had. And we have had very few sales over the lifetime, 7-8 years of Massenomics. We've had very few sales of much significance.
We usually do like one a year, maybe two, but usually just one.
Yeah. And they're usually relatively limited in scope, in size and scope. But this is the biggest that we've ever done. So here's the details. We'll get into the nitty-gritty if everyone's ready for it. It's going to be a short-term sale. Because we hit 50,000 subscribers, we are going to have a 50-hour sale. The sale will only be active for 50 hours. It will start on Tuesday, September 5th. So that's wait a second. When is that?
Let's get the calendar out here. Tuesday, September 5th. That's 5 days from now? 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, so
4,
that's
5, 6 days.
A day and a half after the time that this comes out. So Tuesday, September 5th at noon.
Central, Western,
time.
Northeast, South Dakota time.
Yeah.
Or Central.
At noon Central time, that'll start. And that will last until Thursday, 2 p.m. Central time. It will just be that 50 hours and the details of the sale, what you can expect. We will have, at bare minimum, we're still just finalizing a couple last things on the list, but there are 20 items from our shop that will be 50% off for 50 hours. We didn't do 50 items. That would have been catchier, but we only have so many items. That
I mean, you gotta work with what you got, right?
Yeah, so we're doing 20 items, 50% off for that 50 hours. In addition to that, you can use discount code 50 to save 50 cents off of every order in that time period.
I mean, if you were on the fence before, I think that's what just convinced you right there.
Yes. So let me recap. 50% off 20 items for 50 hours, Tuesday to Thursday, plus 50 cents off every order in that time frame with code 50.
Wait, is that the number 50 or is that the word 50?
That's a good point. I wrote out 50.
Okay.
FIFTY. Yeah,
it's gonna come up. It's gonna come
that's
up.
a good, very, very, very good point, actually. FIFTY. 50. And see, someone's already, I knew this comment would come up. They would say 0 large XL 2X in stock. That's what Keith said. So of these 20 items, there's many hundreds of inventoried items in here. And there is, in several of the items, they are available in every size.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them there is limited inventory, limited sizing, but several of them there are multiple sizes. You know, there is a full gamut of sizes available. That's not all.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. You keep thinking we're gonna just that's it. We keep adding things and there can't possibly be more to this sale.
How
There's
else
more.
can they trick me into spending money?
There is more. Possibly one of the funnest parts of this is our 50 sale. It's our 50K sale. In these 50 hours, every order that comes in, every time you order, it enters you in to the drawing. So every time you place an order in this 50 hours, you get an entry into this drawing.
Are we going to tell them what the drawing's for, or are we just going to leave it at that, Tanner?
We better say what it's for.
Okay.
We better tell them what this drawing's for. The number one, there's going to be 4 winners from the drawing. And it's all you got to do is purchase in that 50-hour window to get in. Should I save the grand prize for last? We'll save the grand prize for last.
Okay.
So the 3 runners up will get their choice of any Build Fast formula supplement that you want, whether you want 80-20 protein or.
I mean, let's be real. We know it's going to be Vaso Blitz. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes. Or you want Blitz 3D, whatever it is. And we haven't even talked to Build Fast Formula about this. We're just doing it. Mm-hmm. So there'll be 3 people that get their choice of whatever supplement, and we'll send that out to you. If you're one of those 3 winners, you get to pick what you want. We'll send it out. Anything they have in stock, we'll say that. And then the grand prize winner will receive a pair. They'll get their name, be able to get their name on an order, a pair. We also haven't cleared this with these people, but we're just doing it too. You'll get a pair of Bearfoot Shoes, the Ursanomics. So you will get a pair of Ursanomics, the grand prize winner. And to enter, all you got to do is buy something in that time, and you're in on a chance for that. So pretty exciting. It's going to be 50 hours of just sheer madness.
Utter mayhem.
Yeah. This is Sparta.
I'm assuming the bank's going to call us and be like, what's going on here? Something's not right.
They should throw us away. Throw us in jail, throw away the key, lock us up for deals this crazy.
Yep. This is criminal. This is insane.
These deals are insane. Without question, these are insane deals. We're insane in the brain. Insane in the membrane. So yeah, I'm excited about the sale.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I felt I wanted to drag that out the details of the sale as long as humanly possible. I
think you did pretty good there. It was.
Okay, is there anything else we could?
You really built up the
sale?
story and suspense of it all. Kept people hanging on to every last little word you were saying.
I wanted to just do one additional recap here then.
Right. In case they missed it. This will be the Cliff Notes version.
50 hours. Tuesday, noon to Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time. 50-hour-long sale. 50% off 20 items in our store. No code needed for that. In addition to that, use code 50, F-I-F-T-Y, to save an additional 50 cents off of every order. And every order that comes in that 50 hours enters you in the drawing to win grand prize, a pair of Ursanomics, the Barefoot Massenomics collab, and then 3 people that get a supplement of their choice from Build Fast Formula.
There it is.
It is insane. I just can't even believe it when I say it out loud.
Oh, you did forget one part. With deals like this, they should take the key.
They should lock
us up, throw it away.
Someone should swallow the key. Whatever.
They should get the guy from Saw to put the key behind someone's eye because this is crazy.
This is nuts. We are nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the sale. Let's see. Are we going to talk about gauge of strength, or?
I think we should touch on, because we got 20 minutes. I think we should touch on this. So this is a very interesting. What does this go back to? 2 weeks ago? Last week? 3 weeks ago? I don't even know when. When was this?
I think 2 episodes ago. So 385. I think if you want to play along at home and re-listen.
2 episodes ago, we had a submit your questions to Massenomics. And I believe it was Big Kevin who had potentially the most polarizing question of the night. And Tanner, do you have his exact original question? I don't want to get the phrasing wrong here.
The most polarizing non-pea gravel related question of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me see. He said, which one lift to best gauge overall strength?
Right. Okay. Yep. What lift to best gauge overall strength? We both
said. So if you could only watch, just to elaborate, just to linger on that a little bit. So if you could only watch someone perform one lift, one type of lift in the gym, and you wanted to use that to kind of gauge how strong they are on everything that they might do in the gym.
Mm-hmm. What would you
lift?
Pick? And
what lift would you?
We both
would you
agreed on. We both agreed
gauge?
on squat is what it came down to, and we want to start this by saying there's no right or wrong answer here. That's the beauty of it. I guess maybe
as long as it's not wrong.
As you agree with us, it's the right answer. Yeah, right. But there's no right or wrong answer here. I think you put the soundbite on Instagram. There's a reel, and there was a lot of comments on it. And I think one, it's really interesting seeing everyone's take on it. So there's a few things. Several people made mention of lifts that were outside of what I would say the big 3. I believe we were both thinking at this as more of a powerlifting context.
For sure. That's definitely you could.
Yeah, so you're free
you could look at it in different contexts.
Yeah, you're free to look at it any way you want. Yeah. Because we talk a little bit more about powerlifting, we were looking at this from powerlifting. Some people said hang cleans. Well,
a lot of people said the Olympic lifts.
Yes.
A lot of people said the Olympic lifts.
I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that does the Olympic lifts with any type. I know a lot of really strong guys. None of them do Olympic lifts. So that's to me a terrible gauge to know how strong someone is because so few people do it. There was a lot of people that said log press. And yeah, I would agree that people that have a good log press are strong. But again, there might be even less people that do a log press than Olympic lifts. The numbers are so small there that it's hard to get a good sample size when you're. Yeah. I mean, you can go into a lot of gyms and you'll never see any of those done ever. I mean, it's already hard enough to see someone doing a squat and a deadlift in a gym. A lot of gyms, it's hard to find anyone doing hang clean, clean and jerk, log press. So we took those ones. Yeah, I guess in some people's minds, they can use those. That's nothing wrong with that answer. But that's why we didn't go with those, is because we're coming at it from a powerlifting context. Those lifts aren't the most commonly done lifts.
There was quite a few people that just surprised at the number of people that just said overhead press too, which is interesting. But I guess at first I think I don't really understand that. But then if I think about it, for the reasons we say squat, if you apply the same thing to the overhead press, if they're just saying, no, I think generally from my experience, if someone can just stand there and overhead press a lot, they're usually pretty good at the other lifts. I don't know if that's true, but I could get behind that.
I mean, I could, because no one casually does overhead press. Like usually overhead press, you're well into your fitness journey. So I get that too. But again, it's just a lift not a lot of people are doing. And then also with overhead press, you do have the thing of, well, is it a push press? Is it a snatch press? Like there's different ways you can game that too. Yeah. So there was that whole take on it. And then the other path a lot of people went down was they didn't take it as the original question of what is the best lift to gauge how strong you think someone will be, but they took it as, I think this is the most practical lift, or I think this is the best test of someone's strength, which those are all great questions, but they are different questions. That was not the original question. And so
you're answering it, and then you're phrasing your answer in a way that like, hey, I don't actually even really like that question. Here's the question I like, and here's the answer for it.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like the question, so I'm going to make a new question and then tell you why you're wrong for the original question.
Or it's like, I'm so blinded by your answer that I disagree with. I'm not even going to like place relevance on the importance of the actual question. I'm just telling you this.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
so,
like
yes. So there was
my rage is so strong by your incorrect answer here.
Yes, and there was a lot of that, and the people gave great responses, and for the most part, I agreed with all the responses. But those were not. That was not what the question was. That was a they answered our question with a different question, which was not what the assignment was. Right. So you had to take those ones out. But where this goes,
tricky too, because there's definitely a lot of nuance. There is very important nuance there, because we know Kevin well enough to know that he asked that question in a nuanced way, and he even elaborated on that even without us like specifically bringing that up. And he goes like, no, I asked that question, like he chose his words carefully that he uses in that, you know, and we were aware that that's the way that he's asking that question.
Yes. So Kevin was one step ahead, you could say, with this whole thing. But the question or probably the question rebuttal that came up the most in the comments was the truest test of strength. And
the truest test of strength.
So now that is a different question. And so where the
I
original,
feel like that is a different question.
That is a totally different question. So where the first question was, what's the best lift to gauge someone's overall strength? And we said, squat. If you can only see one lift, they have a big squat, they probably have big other lifts. Now this one is, what is the truest test of strength? I think if I had to answer this question, I think I would say the deadlift.
I feel like maybe not everyone, because you could justify it in a lot of different ways, but I feel like a lot of the people that were answering deadlift, maybe this isn't fair to put words in people's mouth, but I feel like they were thinking the question, the test of strength. What is the best test of strength? Which would be the more common question, actually, I think, when you're comparing these, you know, like what's the best test of strength? And then a lot of people say the deadlift. And I also could make, if that's the question, I make a lot stronger. It's harder for me to not say deadlift than in that first one. You know, there's a lot of reasons why I could justify why we don't say deadlift for the best gauge of strength. But if you're talking the best test, which is a funny, there again, nuanced difference, I kind of do think it's the deadlift.
And I'm like probably
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm probably like 55 deadlift, 45 squat. Like it's just it's just edging it out. But I think the reason I say that is because at the most extreme levels, squat I think gets bastardized a little bit by mono lifts, wraps, just whatever depth, people have depth. Yes. Again, it comes down to a judge way more so than a deadlift does.
True. And that's all really relevant if you're saying what's the best test of strength, because all these things affect the testing, all those things about the squat you're talking
and like
about.
You'll see with deadlift, like people's squats can vary widely between a monolift with wraps and a walkout with knee sleeves. Like there can be a lot of different weight in there. So that's not to say the squat is, or that's not to say the deadlift is without controversy. I mean, people like to rag on
then it's really
conventional, but it's just conventional versus sumo for the most
yeah.
part. Like, okay, outside of the strictest levels with IPF, with people saying, oh, there's some soft, for the most part, people get, I think it's a little less questionable what's a good deadlift versus what's a good squat.
Yeah.
So that was, we were talking about this a little bit because that is our follow-up to this thing is, what is the truest test of strength? Deadlift, maybe by a bit.
Yeah. I would lean more towards deadlift, I guess. I do like, other things people thought about is they said the deadlift, but then they're like, well, maybe it's just picking something up from the ground, like just an object. So it's like, maybe if it's as simple as a natural rock lift where it's just like, no, if you can pick that up, like, I don't know. You get down rabbit holes on this if I think about it much. Or people say, yeah, it's squat, but it's not the barbell squat. It's, squatting with something where, to make the technique.
You're talking about something that such a small percentage of the population even does that it starts to be like, okay, our sample size is almost non-existent here.
Right. Or the trap bar deadlift is one that came up a few times too. The trap bar deadlift.
I mean, I could totally understand how someone could make that argument. Not saying also they're wrong.
It melds the deadlift and the
squat.
It
does to an extent.
Bit.
Like, if you can trap bar deadlift 1,000 pounds, I know you're really strong. If you can trap bar deadlift 700 pounds, I know you're really strong. But yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. Basically, I'd say anything that doesn't involve pea gravel could be in contention. Should we do some supporting our supporting members?
Yeah.
Or do we? We'll talk more next week on gauges of strength versus tests of strength.
Yes.
It almost gets down to
or maybe later today even.
Yeah, it gets down to a discussion about the definition of terms. Really, when you're talking gauge versus test, it's like really analyzing what.
Yeah, what do you mean by gauge versus what do you mean by
means?
test? Yeah. Yes,
right.
And what's considered? Also, it would bring up the argument of what's considered an acceptable lift in this example. Even
well, that's fun. It's all in the eye of the asker or the answer of the question too, because. That's one more thing, that's something that came up is, we say the squat and a lot of people's responses, well, the squat is a more technical lift than the deadlift. There's more technique needed to squat. And
I also want to remind people we're talking about powerlifting here. We're not talking about golf or figure skating. People like to overemphasize technique in powerlifting. I will stand for that one until the end of time. We're talking powerlifting. There's a wide window of what's acceptable for all of these things. Look at all the top people. Their form varies quite a bit. Technique is overrated.
And when we answered that question, we didn't talk about it at the time, but we were both assuming a basic, we weren't people want to talk about just
100% untrained individual.
The untrained people. Like, I don't really care about test, but if you looked at the question that way, I could see how maybe you think about that, but we were talking about someone that has some basic level
goes to the gym
of training.
Kind of.
Right. And then I think about, well, we say, you talk about a lift and you go extreme, you could apply this to Olympic lifts even, but definition of strength, I don't know what it is, if it's applying force to an external object. I actually don't know what the real definition is, but it depends on what you think about that in your mind, because someone says, well, they're not technically proficient enough to squat very much. And I'm like, I feel like you're saying they're not strong enough to squat that much. So I'm saying they don't have the technique to squat that. I'm like, that is synonymous to me with they don't have the strength to squat that.
To me, yes, that's
technique is a part of piece, a part of the larger strength.
Yeah, if you're strong, you can keep your technique. I 100% agree with you. Like I don't think, unless you have obvious technical errors, I don't think you can blame technique on missing. You should not be blaming technique on missing lifts very often. And if you do, it should only be like on 1 rep maxes. If you're blaming technique on missing like a set of 5 and you missed your 3rd rep, it's like, what? That should not be happening. Like, maybe that happens once in a while. But that hasn't happened to me in years, and I'm not overly technical lifter.
Right. But I guess it is, talking about assumption, it is just assuming a base level of technique to even be able to form something that resembles a squat. But yeah, that's the classic example. Yeah, my technique breaks down terribly at 500 pounds in the squat.
It's 'cause you're not strong enough.
Then I got strong enough to squat 600 pounds, and 500 pounds look good.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the classic thing. Like you get stronger, and then your technique at those same weights is.
I'll be the one to say, like, oh, damn, my technique in my deadlift used to break down when I'd go for 1 rep maxes and my back would round. It's like, yeah, because I wasn't strong enough to keep my back flat. It wasn't like, oh, I put my back at the wrong angle and it rounded. Like, no, I just wasn't strong enough to not round my back.
Yeah. Keith had a point here. He said, someone who squats 400 is stronger than someone that deadlifts 500. I can't go out on that limb. I don't know. It's so tricky.
I'd say that's actually probably where the line is pretty comparable, though. Like, that's what makes it tough
too. Yeah. And that very much does depend on the lifter. You know, because some lifters are better at other things. So that's a tricky one.
I'm sure there is a way to actually really analyze open powerlifting data and get this, but at the same time.
Oh, did you see today in the Discord? You might not have seen this, but actually, Big Luke, Big Kevin, and Big I think Sam were analyzing data from open powerlifting in this and putting together.
Because he does have Big Sam does have this. He says, we trained a regressor to predict normalized totals based on normalized squat, bench, and deadlift. It weighted squat at 75%, bench at 9%, and deadlift at 16%, which is to say squats are king. I don't totally understand that 100%.
And also Luke had different information, and I think they're looking at it differently, probably analyzing in different ways. And I haven't looked, nor do I probably on the surface understand it well enough to tell the difference. But there was, I think Luke's showed that for trained powerlifters, essentially the difference was minute enough between the squat, bench, and dead. Whatever someone's none of those individual lifts, the squat, the bench, or the deadlift, was a superior gauge of someone's overall total. Like a great squat was no more a high gauge of a more. Is that what he was measuring?
See, that's what's so hard to me is like, how do you actually even, do you say like, all right, the squats in the top 50% versus the deadlifts in the top 50%? Like that's,
what I do know is that his analysis of it said that between squat, bench, and deadlift, it was minimal difference, that no one of them was actually a better gauge for someone's overall strength.
Okay.
It was a wash, basically.
Right.
Like the numbers were a wash, that no one individual lift was a superior gauge of someone's strength.
Well, there you have it. There is no answer.
Yeah. All right. Now supporting our supporting members. What this is a segment we do every week, much like our new Gauge Your Strength segment that we do every week.
Or I like this, the fastest growing segment, Tanner explains statistical analysis.
Yeah, we don't want that. I did take a couple stats classes, but it's been a long time. It's been 1 week since she took stats class.
Oh, I thought you were going to be, it's been a while.
No, I was thinking Bare Naked Ladies.
That's still a good one.
Yeah. Haven't you always wanted a monkey? Supporting our supporting members. This is a segment we do each week with our supporters. We give back to them. You can become a supporting member if you want to check it out. It's on our website. Go to massenomics.com/join. We have several different levels there. We'd love to see you get joined up for that, to become a supporting member. There's a lot of perks you get along with that. You get to come in on our Discord crew, we call it. You get to be a part of it. It's a very active community. A lot of like-minded individuals in there talking about serious stuff, looking at regression analysis of lists from open powerlifting, then also goofing around, talking about what's best to load your sandbag with, or bikes, or knives, or just about any VCR, any object you can talk about. It gets analyzed in the Massenomics Discord. You also get a discount code, and you could get on supporting our supporting members. This week, we've got Big Zach from right here in Western Northeast South Dakota. Big Zach got 4th at state 14-inch softball tournament.
Nice.
Good job, Big Zach and the team on 4th place finish there. Big Cody He finished third place out of 3 in his Moss wrestling tournament.
Hey.
So another interesting strength event there. And third place out of 3, still third, still podiumed in Moss wrestling. Interesting sport there. Big Ryan from Iowa, check him out this week. He is the guest on the Unpaid and Underrated podcast, so don't miss that from Big Ryan. Great episode. Big Justin, he moved to Kentucky and started his new job as a world music teacher. So congratulations on the move and the new job, Big Justin.
We recognize all aspects of life here.
Yes. What's a world music teacher?
Don't even know.
You would have to include local, like, domestic, like someone like Nickelback. So you teach on Nickelback, but then you also need some foreign music. So what would you include there?
I don't know. Maybe some what's it? The sitar.
Yeah, like
I think
Norwegian death metal and stuff like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for the kids.
And then last but not least, Big Colton from Crew Falls. Was spotted recently at the grocery store by Tommy. So.
While I was talking to Tanner on the phone, it was practically a Massenomics meetup in person.
It was a little sort of a Crew Falls meetup right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was funny because I actually had to go to that same exact grocery store at the same exact time the day before, and I ran into one of my friends there. And then the next day I go and I run into Colton, and I'm like, man, for a town of 200 and some thousand people, sure run into a lot of people when you're out and about in this place. Hy-Vee, yes. Funny. Big Keith, it was Hy-Vee. You are correct.
And in this case, there was a helpful smile in every aisle because it was Big Colton.
And your first question, Tanner, was, does he have a Massenomics shirt on? I told him, he's like, no, man, I just got off of work. But he said, I did have one on earlier today when I worked out. Big David, I ran into one of my friends, and then Big Colton. Well, I consider Big Colton a friend too, but no one knows my other friend's name, so I didn't. I was just distinguishing one. He was
a crew.
Yeah. He wasn't a crew member. No one knows his name, so I just distinguished him with the term.
And then
friend.
Big Colton, I guess.
Then this other guy there.
Yeah.
Our guest has arrived, Tanner.
All right. Should I hit an ad quick?
Yeah, you can hit an ad. I'll start booting people here.
Yeah, give them the axe. Get rid of these sons of guns. Want to let everyone know to check out the Strength Co. This episode is, of course, brought to you by our good friends over at the Strength Co. Check out their Made in America iron plates. I am a firm believer that they make the best iron plates on the market. It's what we fill Massenomics Gym with. It's what a whole bunch of our supporting crew members have. I see more gyms all the time and more people on Instagram and everything you watch. I see more people having the Strength Co plates all the time. They're smooth, easy to grip. I like the functionality of them. I more so even just like the style, the way they look with the black E-coat finish on them. Smooth, but yet easy to grip.
Would you say you also like the way they feel then too?
I like the way they feel. I like the way they feel on my skin. I like everything about them. So check out the Strength Co plates at thestrength.co. Also check out their new laser engraved black Strength Co barbell collars. Thank you, the Strength Co. Well, let's just dive right in. So we've got big Graciano Rubio, Wall Street. Did I say it right that time?
I think you got that one down.
Okay, I got a little better that time. I can't promise I'll get it right every time, but you can check him out at Wall Street Weightlifter. I know how to pronounce that one. Check that out on Instagram. So I'll give you my rundown of you, and then you can give us the real rundown of you. But say you own a CrossFit gym out in California, 105 kilogram pro strongman. You've got some alphabet soup on your name, CFA, CFP, and now probably most importantly, it's MPG, Massenomics podcast guest. That's my 10,000 foot view rundown of what you've got going on. What did we miss there?
That's the important stuff from the social media world.
Also, probably there's a lot of important family stuff. We won't bug you about all those all those details, anyways.
Yeah, it gets a little weird quickly.
Okay. Well, we are excited to get you on. We've got a Discord community that's a lot of people that listen pretty regularly to the podcast. And when we told everyone we had you coming on, everyone was pretty excited. There was a lot of feedback.
Yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of activity in the Discord for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So most of it good, I think. So we should have a fun time.
Perfect.
Okay. So talking about a lot of things. We'll want to touch a little bit on all that stuff we talked about there, but I just jump into one part of it here. How long have you had a CrossFit affiliate gym that you've owned?
Well, my wife started it in 2012, and then I got involved in October of 2013. August of 2013. And so it started off because I was training out of a commercial gym. And, at the time I had the goal of becoming a pro strongman. And so my first course of action was wanting to do what the pros do. And at that time, a lot of the pro strongmen were training out of CrossFit gyms because you could store all your equipment. So when I looked at it, I was working out of town at the time. So I was looking around, and I actually didn't know there was a CrossFit gym in town. I was at the bar and someone said, "Hey, have you tried CrossFit?" And I was like, there's no CrossFit gym here. But this is back in the day when it's still like a little speakeasy kind of club.
Right.
So I tried finding it online, and I was a mailman prior to that. So I got the address down, and I looked it up, and I started driving down. And I'm on E Street, and I know how to read the mail, so I know how to find the numbers and all that. Well, the freaking street ends. So it ends at like the 1100 block. And I'm like, dude, this is a fake gym. I was like, there's no address in the 1200s. So I keep driving around, and I go to the regular gym, and I wait like another week and decide to come back. I'm like, okay, I got to find this place. Once I already had it in my mind, I went for another week back at this gym that had one squat rack. And so then I was like, all right, I got to find this place. I can't take this any longer. So I finally find it. Like, the city's got all the blocks lined up. And then there's like big gap where they screwed up their city planning. And then the 1200 block is like way the hell across town. So I'm trying to find it on Google. I finally find it, and I come in. And I said, hey, can I work out here today? You guys have this free week on your website. I'm trying to get a free week. Can I do some open gym? And she wouldn't let me work out. I'm like, well, shit, you advertised a free week. How are you going to ever tell me I come in for a free week and I would work out? So I went through the intro classes. And at the time, it was real simple. I added up all the time that I spent at the commercial gym goofing around with their one squat rack of like, oh, I'm going to be here for the next 30 minutes while these guys do some whatever they're doing. I couldn't even tell you the name of the exercise because I have no clue what they're actually doing in there. And so I said, you know what? If I add up all the hours that I waste standing around here, I'm actually, this membership is essentially free. Like, I'm spending way more at the gym in lost time than just to pay the membership and come in and have my own spot and stuff to do. So that was my first interest in CrossFit was, hey, I need a place to store equipment in and not be caught up with hours of waiting around and then trying to haul equipment from the garage and the house we were renting and then doing it out in the street, in the cul-de-sac and all that. So I moved all my stuff in. And then I stuck around because the gym owner was hot. So I was like, well, shit. I said, you guys you're sweetening the deal here. So a couple months later, I started dating the gym owner. And then I got into it because she was busy coaching classes and doing the normal gym stuff. And it had been open for like a year and a half at that point. So I said, well, how about I coach some classes and then you got extra time? So she said, well, to do that, you have to get your level 1. So I secretly signed up for the level 1. Said, hey, I'm going to be busy next weekend. She said, well, why? I said, well, I signed up for the level 1. Got the whole thing done. Went to the seminar, and it was just an outstanding 2-day course. And so up until that point, like up until August, I had slowly gone from being like CrossFit's biggest hater of like, that stuff is so stupid. I'm not doing that. Then slowly started watching guys get stronger and stronger. And was like, you know what? I'm at least going to learn what they're doing. Joined, went to the level 1 seminar, and then everything that was there was the complete 180 of everything I had seen on the internet. So on the internet, they had made it out like, oh, you attend this course, they give you a big stamp of approval, and then you start coaching 20 people at a time how to swing on a pull-up bar. And when I was there, they just shit on me the whole time. They're like, when you finish this, you don't know anything. Like, you're not a coach. You don't know how to communicate with people. You're not ready to coach a class. You got to start with one person at a time, family or friends, because you're going to suck and you're going to screw it up, and they're not going to hate you for it. And then once you learn how to coach one person, then you're going to eventually graduate to coaching 2 people or 3 people. And over time, you'll build your skills in order to be able to help, public-facing people where you can charge. So everything that they had laid out was like a complete 180, from their charter of mechanics, consistency, intensity, to you're not a coach when you pass this course. Like, you are starting off as a nobody. And everything they laid out, I thought, that stuff is great. Like, I agree with 100% of everything here. There might be a gap between idea and some application. But if you spent enough time in, the powerlifting world, at that point, things like Westside were still dominating the internet. And to be fair, so, I've seen some people do Westside on their own. And if you've watched people do Westside on their own, it is entertaining, to say the least. Like, let's be fair and compare apples to apples. We're not talking about guys training at Westside. We're talking about guys that watched a couple of videos or saw an article, and now they're thinking that they're doing conjugate. So I said, it's not fair to judge them by how those people are doing it. But I had left that course and been like, man, the principles of this whole thing are outstanding. And then slowly started coaching people. We ended up getting married, had kids. And from then, it just became like a slow transition into the gym becoming a bigger part of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And couple ways I want to go with that. So one
to add in here, Tanner, is that you guys share a bond, being that you both found your spouses through the gym. That's true. You guys are maybe the 2 men in history that have ever pulled that off.
Yeah, that's everyone's dream, isn't it? Like, that's what every single dude thinks is going to happen.
To pick up chicks, and it worked.
It never actually does happen. We are 2 cases where it happened. So yeah, there is hope.
You know what? It's been better every year. Where, sure, 20 years ago it wasn't going to happen, but your chances have gone up every year since then. To where now, it's, if you've ever seen a guy approach a women's gym, I thought they were making it up. I thought, this stuff is silly. There's people that don't act like that. But prior to that, I had gone to the gym, with a former acquaintance, and these guys were hitting on her so hard that I thought, I can't believe there's people who act like this.
Yeah,
like it only happened in a CrossFit gym because an aspect of CrossFit is the community. Like, people come early, they BS, they hang out. Like, you have very clear, specific BS times, and then you have clear workout times. Like, in a commercial gym, I would go, and I'm like, hey, I'm here to work out. Like, I don't care what you're doing. Hey, leave me alone. I'm here to work out. And so you go to the gym thinking you're going to do some peacocking and you're showing off.
Yeah.
And you're like, the biggest tool ever. Like, hey, I'm trying to work out here.
Yes.
So yes. CrossFit is specifically designed for that. You have your time before and after. If it's going to happen at any gym, it's right there.
Yeah. That makes sense. What was, okay, so you're also a financial planner. What was harder, your CrossFit Level 1 certification or attaining your CFA?
Definitely the CFA.
It's very hard, correct? I mean, it's challenging. It's rigorous to get your CFA, right?
That depends.
Okay.
I'm probably not the guy to ask on that, but they make it harder than it really is. So if you think of it like a workout, because you're supposed to, allocate 300 hours to study for each level of the exam. But most people don't actually study. They crack the book, they read one paragraph, and then they scroll on their phone for 15 minutes.
It's like, there you go, half hour done. Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, I studied for 1,000 hours. Like, come on, hold on. Let's see these 1,000 hours. Let's see what they really look like.
Yeah.
So if you treat it like a workout every day, you have almost a full year to prepare. You got a 1 hour brain workout every day, and you're going to be just fine. But if you're thinking that you're going to put in these marathon sessions of 5 hours a day at the tail end, that's not going to happen. So they hype it up because people think they're going to go do it like they did in college. We're like, oh, I'm going to cram, a whole semester in the last week. You don't have a chance. But if you look at it like, oh, I got 300 hours, that's an hour a day. I can do that, no problem. Well, it's not like this impossible task.
Yeah, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, and not to be a jerk to anyone that failed it, but usually when people get to level 2, people will say, usually at level 2 is where people are like, yeah, I'm not doing this. They look at it, and they're just like, doesn't make sense to them. And stuff like pension accounting and stuff, things like that, they look at it, they're like, I could sit here for the next 10,000 hours, and I'm not going to figure this out. Like, it's like asking someone colorblind to describe yellow. I don't know what this stuff is.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, for some people, it's probably an uphill battle no matter what, too. I get that. That makes sense. People like labels. So, and maybe you don't, so maybe you won't think of it this way, but we talked about your CrossFit background and owning a CrossFit gym. You have weightlifter in the title of your handle. You're a pro strongman before 105 kilograms. So are you a CrossFitter? Are you a strongman? Or are you a weightlifter? Or an intersection of all of those and other things? What would you describe yourself as?
I would say that a strongman would probably be the best way to describe it. See, I grew up in the Mariusz Pudzianowski era, and that makes a big difference in what people aspire to down the road. So the Pudzianowski era, he was leaner and jacked, and then every single speed or endurance event, he just completely crushed people of like making them look dumb. Like, these guys are just horribly out of shape and lazy and unathletic. So he'd do a medley in 20 seconds, and the second place guy would do it in 60 seconds. It's like, growing up, I always thought those kind of events were super cool. Like, to come in here and do some crazy medley and do it twice as fast as everybody. Like, those things were cool to me. And then nowadays, you kind of they cater the events a little bit to whoever the current champion is. Like, they want to have their hero. And in the Pudzianowski era, there's obviously a little bias because they want certain people to win. But then Big Z took over, and now the whole attitude changed. Like, oh, it's 1 rep maxes and the big lifts. But to me, you already have 2 sports that are 1 rep max sports. You got powerlifting and you have weightlifting. Strongman is this totally separate thing that is answering the question, who is the strongest? Like, let's test out all the different kinds of strength and see across all these different tests who's the strongest overall. So that's always been my goal, which is to just overall be strong. It doesn't matter what the event is. As long as it's heavy enough you could call it strength, I want to be good at it. But when it comes to the weightlifting, I do some stuff that's a little weird because you can take a strongman out of the sport, but you can't take the sport out of them. So when it comes to like totally stupid feats of strength where someone's like, we're going to do it just because. It's like, well, hell yeah, we are. I'm down for that. Like, I don't care what it is. We'll be here for the next hour just going rep for rep with each other because that's how, strongman crews train. You get a bunch of guys together, you're super competitive, and it doesn't matter what the test is. I don't care. I just want to beat you.
Has your would you say your okay, look at it this way. Has your fitness strength journey helped you more in your financial planner career, or has your financial planner career helped you more with carryover that you can apply to your fitness life, your training, your gym ownership?
Oh, fitness is way harder.
Okay.
Fitness is way harder. With fitness, if you're coaching other people, you're managing people's emotions on a day-to-day basis. So with fitness, if you're trying to convince someone to take action, like that action costs them something. They're going to be uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. So to try to guide someone towards better behaviors in fitness and make them make healthy choices, like that is an uphill battle. Like that is a tough fight. To explain to someone how you're going to manage their money and say like, hey, this is what you need to do. And we're going to make things simpler for you, or you're going to do less stuff. It's you still have the emotional aspect of it. But when it comes time to the actual work, a lot of it is hands off. So if you're managing people's money like on a discretionary basis, you know, you communicate what you're going to do, you explain it, but I'm not asking you to sweat and be uncomfortable and be miserable. I'm asking you to do stuff that's in your best interest and it really doesn't hurt. In fitness, I'm asking you to do stuff in your own self-interest, but it hurts and you don't want to do it. So there's a big difference of, hey, sign this paperwork and then I'll send in the transfer and do this and manage it this way, versus, hey, I need you to be out in the heat and go for this long ass run or lift these weights. So one obviously pays a lot more, but the other one is way tougher.
Yeah. If only there was a way, you know, you could just have people do that same thing. You know, they'd sign off the sheet of paper, you take care of their fitness for them, they're good, but not a thing yet.
It doesn't work that way, does it? No.
Yeah, people aren't robots. Or they're not racehorses. Yeah. If I could crack a whip and be like, oh, this is what you're doing, then everything would be way easier. But instead, you got to convince them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're the Wall Street weightlifter. We've got 3 movies for you here. First of all, we'll verify if you've seen these 3 movies or not before. And then we've got a question for you. Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen it?
Seen it.
Wall Street. Have you seen it? The movie?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not 100%.
Okay. And then this one's obscure. Maybe we need to replace this with something else. Have you seen Trading Places before? It's with Eddie Murphy, yeah, where they corner the market on orange.
On orange juice.
Orange juice. Okay, you've seen it. So okay.
Yeah.
So you've got at least a point of reference with all 3 of these movies. Okay. Rank those 3 Wall Street movies from best to worst.
Trading Place is going to be number 1. Wolf of Wall Street will be 2. And then Wall Street's going to be number 3.
I'm glad you said that because I'm a Trading Places fan myself too. So that's
do you know the full story on Wolf of Wall Street?
What's that?
Do you know the full story on Wolf of Wall Street?
Outside of the movie, I don't know anything else about the story. No.
Yeah.
It was funded by a scam artist.
Like the actual movie itself was funded by
the movie? Yeah, the movie itself. The movie was produced by a scam artist. So like the movie's covering a scam artist.
Right.
But then the movie itself was funded by a scam artist.
I did not know that.
You got to look that one up. There's a whole book on it called $1 Billion Whale. It was this giant scam with the sovereign wealth fund. But
so did the guy make out?
No, they caught him.
Okay.
They caught the guy, but they're basically siphoning money out of this fund, and then we're like, hey, we need to find a return. Like we got to be able to make money with this money. So they decided to make a film, Wolf of Wall Street, and they got all these. That's why they have so many top actors in it. It's a Scorsese film with Leo and all this
McConaughey,
stuff.
Yeah.
And then the movie comes out, it's a big hit. And then once they find out about all this scam going on, it's like the actual story on the person who funded Wolf of Wall Street is an even bigger, greater scam than the guy they're covering.
Damn, yeah, there's levels to that. I got to look into that. That's
yeah, I did not know that.
Gives you a new perspective on it.
Well, you don't know about it because Goldman Sachs is involved with that fund. So you're not going to hear all this media coverage of how that happened.
Right.
But the underlying story of how they made the money or who funded the money is way better than the movie itself. Like the Wolf of Wall Street is just like, that's chump change. These guys are scamming way more money than that.
So they almost need to do like a Wolf of Wall Street 2, but it'd be like the making of Wolf of Wall Street 1 that would have the actual story.
All that
Like
good Wolf of Wall Street talking, you're still putting Trading Places above it then.
Yeah, because no one knows about the backstory. If they had a movie on the backstory, it'd be even better.
Yeah.
But it's like the funniest story ever because this guy decides he's basically scamming people his whole life. Like he just like is another level of scam, up and up and up and up. So as he keeps climbing, like he starts off like kind of small and then moves like a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And at every step of the way, like no one does their due diligence. So it's like a series of like 20 different things where no one ever checks into it or no one ever is like, this sounds funny. Until
Right.
he's all the way to the top and has so much money that he's funding Wolf of Wall Street. But like if any person along the entire way was like, I don't know, something's kind of fishy, like the whole thing would have fell apart. So when you put it all, look at it, you're like, how did this happen? Like, how did he go through so many different things and no one ever questioned it or thought, like, hey, something's off here?
Yeah. I'm curious about that. That's good stuff. Okay. Switching gears a little bit on that. What's the heaviest weight you've ever put over your head before?
524.
Damn,
That'd be
That's a
the
lot.
heaviest.
For anyone that doesn't know, that's a lot. So what, in what manner? Is that a jerk or what? How are you?
Yeah, that was a behind the neck jerk.
Okay. That's a lot though. That is a lot. What's your personal favorite lift you've ever done?
Single lift. I did a 330-pound Isabel. That's the best. That's my favorite workout ever.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
That is 30 snatches for time.
Oh.
Okay.
So that one is by far the best.
And you did it.
Okay.
You did it at what? Say that again. What was the weight you did?
330.
Damn, that's a
Yeah.
lot. So has like overhead type stuff always been like a natural ability you've had, or is that something you've had to really work on?
There was some natural ability, but it's combined with. It wasn't like I started off with some crazy level.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a progression over the course of. I would say I didn't get to like the really good level. That probably took me about 7 or 8 years. So 7 or 8 years of training to get to. Let's see. I think it took 6 years to hit 300, and then would have been another 7 years to get to like 375.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's actually the progress has been like pretty steady.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like one big burst of starting off here that was always good at it. It's just been real steady over time.
Yep. I've got a question. This is something we've been talking about on the show for the last few weeks here. So I want to pose a hypothetical scenario to you. Somebody walks in the gym. You haven't seen this guy lift before. You don't know how strong he is. We'll say it's a man. Doesn't make a difference, but for the sake of the conversation. And you only get to see this person do one lift. One lift. You can pick whatever that lift is, but whatever the lift it is, you want it to be whatever you think is going to be the best gauge for you to be able to determine how strong overall this lifter is. You're only going to get to see them perform this one lift, and it's your gauge. You're going to try and use it to build your best picture of how strong this lifter is overall just by watching him do the one lift. What lift would you have him do?
I'm gonna go overhead squat.
That's interesting choice. We've had a lot. This has been a polarizing debate. We've heard a lot of answers on this. So you're gonna have them do an overhead squat.
Is that the first overhead squat we've gotten, Tanner?
That's the first time I think I've searched. I don't know. There's a lot of comments on Instagram. Someone could have said that. I don't want to say somebody hasn't. So overhead squat.
Yeah, if I see them overhead squat, first I'm going to be able to tell their squat mechanics right off the bat. So you can tell how stable they are and how they move. But then I can test out their shoulder mobility and their balance and a lot of other athletic qualities out of that squat. So for everything except powerlifting, I'm going to know how much work it's going to take to get this person to a pretty good level. So if they come in and they got a big overhead squat, every movement I know is going to be easy. So even if it's strongman, like if they're doing things like jerks or they're doing things like stones, they're doing all these movements that require a ton of mobility. They can overhead squat. I know I'm going to be able to coach them on any of those movements that normally people struggle with. Weightlifting is obviously not going to be a problem. And I know just out of that squat, like how overall, I wouldn't say athletic, but how well all the other movement patterns are. I would maybe go front squat as my second choice. And the only reason I wouldn't go front squat is that for some reason, just that front rack mobility, you get some guys with like a monstrous bench or some other thing, they just can't rotate. So I would maybe pick front squat as number 2.
What's the number on overhead squat where you go, damn, this guy's moving some weight here?
Just as an average person?
Yeah, just because like I don't do
However
overhead
you would
squat, and
frame
I don't
it,
see many people do it. So I'm curious, like what your gauge is for. All right, they're like they're respectable. They're moving some weight.
Oh, 225.
Okay.
If they can walk in and they hit a 225, then that's going to be the easiest person in the world to coach. Like my job is going to be just as easy as it gets.
Yeah.
If that's their starting point.
Yeah. I mean, that's a strong person though at that point, right?
Maybe. 225 is kind of it's one of those movements like if you regularly do it, 225 is not going to be like this big massive lift.
Right.
If you don't do it, I've seen guys that squat like 405 plus that can barely do 95 pounds, and we're talking they are dying.
I feel like I would be, with my lack of training in that, overhead squat. I don't even know. Like, I mean, it would just straight up take weeks of training to even just be able to do anything. I think, just to be able to perform the lift. It would take a while.
But people who are really good at it, they're going to squat a reasonable percentage of the back squat.
Okay.
So if they're overhead squatting 225, and their form is good, everything looks good. If that's their max overhead squat, and you can tell they're technically sound, well, this guy's not a 700-pound squatter. He's not going to just be doing 225. But if you're starting off with that level of mobility, like I'm probably going to get you stronger faster before I'm going to get this guy to be able to have that kind of flexibility.
Yeah.
So as soon as we do any movement requiring some mobility, it's like, dude, we got 6 months of helping you get flexible.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I could picture myself in that boat. Absolutely. What's the best music to train to?
Oh, something personal. I like Johnny Cash. That's near the top of my list. So it depends on the day.
Do you have is there any particular Johnny Cash songs or Johnny Cash era that you gravitate towards?
Johnny Cash greatest hits.
There you go.
So when I was a kid, see my dad immigrated from Mexico. And there's a weird phenomenon when people immigrate where whatever the culture was when they immigrated, they like never moved beyond that point. So my my dad loves 70s country music. Like all 70s country music is just like top tier. So he would keep Johnny Cash's greatest hits like in his truck playing just forever. Like every time he'd get a new car, it'd be like, oh, let me take this CD out, put it in this one. So I could get a new truck with a 6-disc changer and whatnot. And it's like that's like slot number 1, Johnny Cash greatest hits.
All right, that's good. Okay, this next question, I want to meld together a couple things you do. 1, the financial planning aspect. 2, you do quite a bit of meal prep that we've seen. So you're on your game when it comes to meal prep. This is a very popular topic amongst Massenomics listeners, is the Costco food court chicken bake. I don't know if you're familiar with the actual food item or not, but it's something you buy. You go to Costco, you go to the food court. They sell like the $1.50 hot dogs. They also sell this chicken bake. So the chicken bake is $3.99. And I want to ask you how you feel of it as a value buy or a value proposition here. So it's $3.99. The breakdown on this chicken bake, you're getting 770 calories, 26 fat, 81 carb, 46 protein. What's your take on the Costco food?
Is there actually 46 grams of protein?
That's what they listed as, but that could be controversial. I don't know.
If there's an actual 46 grams of protein, then it's a phenomenal buy. If there's 46 grams, they got to test that.
Yeah. And that's part of the conversation that's why it's been discussed so much, is the macro breakdown on this seems kind of wild here, the 46 grams of because that's the thought, that's been our thought, or the consensus is that, well, that kicks ass if that's what it breaks down to.
If it's 46 grams of protein, and I try to be real practical about it. So we get single guys. It's usually not single women, but we get single guys. They can't cook. All their other excuses don't matter. They can't cook. And so I'll tell them, hey, worst case scenario, you go either buy 3 meals, from whatever meal prep company you want, or find something that's ready to go because you're not going to cook. So don't have this big giant plan of like, oh, I'm going to turn into Emeril Lagasse and be cooking up all these big giant dishes. Like, be realistic. You're not going to cook. So you're looking for something you can heat up. So look for the least worst thing you can heat up and get your protein in. So what we do is a little different, than we recommend to people. So like, what are you actually going to do? And if that's what it's going to take for you to actually do it, buy that frozen pack of them. Go turn on the oven and put them in. That's not as bad as you're going to skip your meal and then you're going to go be smashing cheeseburgers because you know that's what you're going to do. Like, you're not going to be up at 11 p.m. cooking for the next day. And if you do, you put it in the fridge and it's ready to go, but you can't cook and it tastes bad. And then when it comes time to eat it, you just throw it in the trash and go out to eat anyways. So I've seen something on the chicken bake before. I've seen it posted. I was like, I don't think there's 46 grams of protein.
We might need to get that to a lab.
It doesn't seem possible, but it's what they're claiming apparently.
Do you guys remember the complete cookies?
I don't think I do.
What did they get busted for lying, or
they got busted because they said they were protein cookies and they got all this protein in them, and then they tested them at the lab and they're like, "There's no protein in this. They're just a regular cookie." So we were at this powerlifting meet and this girl's smashing like 10 of these freaking protein cookies,
and they're just cookies. Yeah,
she's like, "Oh yeah, they're protein cookies," and she was eating them. I'm like, yeah, it's a protein cookie, but that shouldn't be like the foundation of your diet still.
Right.
Go eat something else.
Even if it was a high protein cookie, still you shouldn't be like, that shouldn't be the base of your diet. Like,
yeah, and she was going on about how good they taste. It's like, no, they don't. They're not very good. I'm like, this is decent for a protein cookie, but for a regular cookie, they're awful. And you're getting the nutrition of a regular cookie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the fake health foods or things that you've been conditioned to believe are health foods, but really like what makes this healthy actually in some of those cases.
Well, in that case, that was just theirs was just a total lie.
Right.
Yeah.
The other stuff is at least funny marketing.
Right.
Where you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Where they put like a gluten-free sticker on everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
But it's
this
like,
never had gluten in it.
Oh, this meat's gluten-free? Damn, okay.
Yeah. Were you at Elite FTS recently? Did I see that or am I making that up?
You didn't see anything.
So I did. Okay. Like you're not there right now. It looks like you're probably at your CrossFit gym or something there. So
Yeah. I will be live there in a couple weeks.
all right. So will we. We're actually headed there. We're headed there the end of September. We've got it booked with them. So
Okay.
So we wondered if you had any pro tips for us.
What's your guys' closest town?
Oh, say that again. I didn't. Our closest.
What's your closest town that you live in?
Well, we live in South Dakota.
Yeah.
So Tommy lives in the
I live in
biggest
Sioux
town of South
Falls,
Dakota. He
so
lives
I'm
Sioux
in the
Falls.
biggest city in the state.
He lives in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
How many people live there?
Live here?
Yeah.
Sioux Falls, like 250,000.
Mine's
okay,
20. I'm 25,000.
Yeah, Tanner's a lot smaller though.
Yeah.
So they claim that it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
but
London.
You're I think 20 minutes from like the outskirt of Columbus. You're
Yeah.
like 30 minutes from downtown.
Right.
So I actually went down to Portsmouth, Ohio on Sunday. So I had to be in two places in Ohio. And so I stayed in downtown Columbus. It was cheaper than staying at either of those places. And so I stayed in downtown at the Sheraton, which ended up being like the cheapest option. Unless you go to those like hotels that charge by the hour, where you're like you're dealing drugs and shit.
No.
The parking lot.
Real classy place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of all the other places, like every other place was more expensive and in a worse location. So I stayed at the Sheraton downtown, and then there's a Mexican food joint, which there are no Mexicans in all of Ohio. Like the entire time I was there, I was the only Mexican in the entire state. So I look up to get Mexican food, and they have.
Are you
one
skeptical right from the beginning when you're thinking of looking for Mexican food? Are you like, yeah, what are we dealing with here?
Well, it goes one of two ways. There's this interesting phenomenon where places with a ton of Mexicans have terrible Mexican food because all the good food is being cooked at home. And then random places, you'll have like a little pocket of people that start a restaurant and it's just killer. And everyone wants it because they're like, oh my God, we're going to go to this authentic Mexican restaurant. And they just make a killing on it. So there's a place right next to it, but it's kind of like this Mexican fusion where they take like random different ethnicity of food and make tacos out of it. Awesome. Totally awesome. So
and that was in Columbus, you said?
That's in Columbus. Yeah. That's like right on the other side of the building from Sheraton.
Okay. So is the Sheraton, is that downtown like by the convention center where the Arnold is at? Is it close to that at all or?
It's within walking distance.
Okay. All right. We go to the Arnold every year, so I'm sure we've been in the area. We haven't stayed at the Sheraton before though.
Yeah, that was the cheapest. It's like right next to the Capitol building.
Okay. All right. Well, we won't spill too many more of the Elite FTS Dave Tate beans then if that's under wraps then. But I thought I saw something. Yeah.
I put up a picture and then they said, hey, this is going to come out in another couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Just passing through.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I'll be excited to check that out. How long was it?
How long
How
was
long-
what?
Well, did you
Podcast take?
Yeah, right. Because some of them are like 3 hours plus.
It was 5.5 hours.
Oh
No.
He started asking me questions.
5.5 hours.
He started asking me questions, and I was probably too loaded up on coffee and Zin. So he asked me
Zins for the
questions,
win.
and I would be like, "Okay, well, where do we start? Let's start at the beginning. I'll tell you the whole thing." And it ran on, and then at the end of it, we capped it off, and it was like, "Oh shit, it's been 5.5 hours."
Damn. It's impressive.
That is long.
All right, Tanner, we got something to shoot for.
Boy, I don't
going
think we can
6.
hold a candle to that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's cool. Okay. Are they going to put that all out in one episode?
Oh, they'll chop it up into clips and stuff.
Yeah,
They'll- They'll put the full length out there, but
Yeah. All right, good. I got to block out a couple
Yeah,
days.
looking forward to
for
that
when it comes. Okay. We've got this game that we play with every guest, overrated or underrated, and we've got a special set of topics just for you. We'll fire them over to you. It's just your job. Pretty easy, simple, straightforward to decide if each one's overrated or underrated. But you get your druthers to elaborate as much or as little on each one as you'd like. You just have to remember you have to ultimately decide if it's over or under. You can't ride the line. That's the biggest takeaway. You can't ride the line here. So if you're ready, we'll fire them off at you.
all right, we're ready.
All right, overrated or underrated, Dave Ramsey.
I'm gonna say overrated. He gets people fired up to not blow their money, but after that, it's falls a little short. So to be fair, that's most people's problem is buying stupid stuff. But after that, it gets a little questionable.
That feels like the common criticism I hear about him is he does do a good job, teaching techniques of helping people quit wasting their money, like get out of extreme levels of debt and that sort of thing. But just like what you said after that, then maybe he's not the best option to be leaning on from there forward.
Yeah, the money guys think of everything as money. When, dude, the money's a tool for something else. Like, you don't care about the money, you care about what money gets you. So if your goal is to die with the biggest bank account, that's a different goal than using money to actually build a good life. So when people say these like ridiculous things, like, "Oh my God, how could you buy Starbucks?" Well, because it takes me 15 minutes to make coffee at home, and it doesn't taste as good. So if you really want to be that much of a nerd about it, we'll calculate my hourly rate, the time it takes me to make coffee at home, and compare, the total cost and opportunity cost and all that stuff. And so what? Mm-hmm. And if I go to Starbucks, they'll give me a free refill. So I'm really going to have 2 coffees. And I'm going to sit in the AC because they keep it at like 65 degrees. So I'm not going to go through my power bill and be like, okay, if I can set the AC and change this to this much, how much money could I save to justify the cup of coffee? Right. No, just freaking buy it and move on.
And maybe you actually just like it. Like, can't you just buy things because you like them too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a interesting point. It's a good point. I personally tend towards being too cheap a lot of times on things. But even over the last few years here, I've probably opened up more towards where I'm like, well, no, what is the point of it? What am I doing? All the things I'm doing, what am I doing it for? And it's kind of that same thing you're saying there where I have to remind myself, like, what is the point of it? Because I would agree, dying with a big bank account, maybe you're passing something on that means something to some people in some instances. But overall, like, I think you have to some people have to remind themselves what is the point? That's not to say for the people that are in extreme debt, I don't want to use that as a justification for those people
don't go out and
to
buy
blow
like
money
3
they don't
cars.
have. Right. But there are people probably like myself that get a little lost in that sometimes, I think.
Well, my wife just gave me an ass chewing for the last few months to get a 7-seater car because our kids are just old enough. We got to drive other people's kids around now.
Yeah. We both have 7-seater vehicles. So.
And I was like, do we really need it? I said, it's really how often do you really have to drive other people's kids? And we can wait another year. And then it was like, you know what? It makes more sense. Fine, we'll do it. But it's simple stuff like that where you start making these silly trade-offs where your quality of life goes down so much when you could be hit by a bus. So to not spend any money or to hoard it all to give to your kids, well, that plan that you have, if you're hoping to live to 75, well, your kids are going to be 50. And I really hope at 50,
they have their shit.
kids are,
Hopefully they made some damn money of their own, like that they're
their
not
financial
just
plan
sitting around
isn't-
waiting for you to die.
Yeah, I hope their financial plan at 50 is that, hey, I hope my 75-year-old parents die so I can take all their money.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, use some of that money when they're kids and when they're coming up so that they have those tools and they understand things and they have the skills and opportunities that when they're 50, they're worried about taking care of you and your health, not, oh, I can't wait for them to die so I can take over their house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally, I've had 2 major purchases in my life where it's like when we upgraded to a significantly larger, better house, and I could have drugged my feet on it for like 15 more years probably if it wasn't for my wife being a little like, I could justify all the reasons why I could wait longer. I'm like, well, a few more years, we could have this house paid off completely and, this and that. But then the quality of life difference where I'm like, this just makes our lives easier. It's not just that it's not a status thing. Like this just dramatically changed the way that we can live our lives. And then to a smaller degree, it's the larger vehicle thing. We have a 4th kid coming and we went to a quite a bit larger vehicle. And just in the months of having that, it's like, man, this makes our lives like easier. Like this pays off in ways I didn't even imagine of just like reducing stress. I think maybe like, maybe it's more stress because I'd rather see that money sitting in a bank account than I would seeing in a garage in a vehicle. But I'm like, there's other ways to measure that too. I think it's a good point.
We bought a Tempur-Pedic bed, and it's literally the best money I've ever spent in my entire life. Like,
Yeah.
I've never been to a hotel or anywhere else where any bed has ever been better. So right off the bat, like you buy a Tempur-Pedic, you're spending a third of your life in the greatest luxury of anyone in the world. Like they don't make better beds. So for like and I got it at Costco. So like for an all-in cost of $3,000, you're going to spend the next 10 years and a third of it is going to be as good as anybody in the entire world. And so people will sleep on this like old, pile of sticks to like save a couple bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, dude, you bought a $3,000 package on the car of stuff you never use.
An appearance package, like
Yeah, in a car. Yeah.
But then the bed that you're on for 8 hours a night is this old pile of junk.
Yeah, and if you did the
And
hourly
so
breakdown of what that bed cost you per
Right.
hour for 10 years, it was like pennies.
Yeah, so there's stuff like that. They're like, dude, you could literally live as good as anyone in the world for a third of your life. And that's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Okay. Okay. Overrated or underrated? The CrossFit affiliate.
Ooh, in what way?
Well, I would just say your gym, you could either choose to be a CrossFit affiliate, which I believe you are, or you could probably do, in my unexperienced opinion, a lot of similar stuff without being a CrossFit affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
So as an owner of a functional training gym, the CrossFit affiliate, overrated or underrated?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. From a purely financial perspective, Well, from a purely financial perspective, I'm definitely going to say overrated. If you're talking pure finance, the most money to be made in fitness is BSing people. And so if you're really doing CrossFit, the thing that separates CrossFit is that it has always supposed to be measurable, observable, and repeatable. And so you have to be beholden to the truth, whatever that truth is. So if you're going to abide by that, in the short term, you're going to make some financial sacrifices. Like if I was to come in and promise people all this stuff and, oh, you can do this, and oh, yeah, you're going to have a six-pack by the end of summer. In that case, I would make way more money. And I could just constantly sell people, especially if I was in a bigger city. High turnover, keep selling challenges, keep doing all that stuff. And you'd make more money, especially short term. So from a financial perspective, you shouldn't do CrossFit at all. I wouldn't even say you should do functional training. From a non-financial perspective, it's going to be underrated. And the reason why is that CrossFit has a community to it of people that have all bought into a certain way of doing things or a certain mission. And the community aspect is what separates not just CrossFit, but every really successful program when you're talking about long-term results. When you look at, I remember years ago, this is before I did CrossFit, they used to say, if you didn't train at Westside, you're not doing Westside. Like there is a community aspect of being around guys that are that competitive, that are pushing each other, that you cannot replicate on your own or usually with another crew. So you can copy the methodology and you can do the same stuff, but it's not Westside if you're not in that environment where your best days become even better and your worst days become less worse just by being around those people. So from a community perspective, and as a gym owner, this is slightly biased, but if another CrossFit gym owner, sent me a message or asked me a question, I'm going to help them out a lot more than some person that copies everything that CrossFit does, but doesn't want to pay the affiliation fee. So you're like anything, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so you will get out of it more by being a part of that community if you choose to take use of those resources than by being a non-affiliate.
That's good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Overrated or underrated Dolly Parton?
Underrated. I went to a Dolly Parton concert in 2014. So my wife has been a big Dolly Parton fan her whole life. And she's one of the few people that she does charitable work, but it's more out of a sense of altruism. And so there's tons of charity work that she never has attached her name to or has no publicity to it. So you don't even know that she does that. And I went to a concert, and I'm not joking. It was 50% hot moms, like 30% gay guys, and 20% this random assortment of people. Like completely random assortment.
Yeah.
So I went there, and I didn't know what to expect. But I showed up, and I'm like, man, this is not what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting like your typical, like a star like that from those decades. I'm expecting to see like all these people that are 60 plus. Right. It was in Reno too, which Reno was like the poor man's, not just the poor man's Vegas, but events in Reno are always just a different vibe to it. So I'm expecting to see all these people like 70-year-old coming in walkers. And instead, like the average age was like 40. I was looking around like, what is going on right now? I didn't know this was like the people who attend this concert. So if there's any young single guys listening to this,
go to a Dolly Parton concert. Yeah.
Find somebody that you can go with that you don't look weird going. But It is absolutely worth your time. You are going to find the greatest collection of 40-year-old divorcees you have ever seen. Go into a concert about female empowerment.
Yeah. Yeah, play Jolene. It's my life. All right, that's good. I would check that out. I think I guess from what I've known, she's well respected as probably a pretty good person, so that makes sense. Last one. This is worth all the marbles. We usually save the most important one for last. So overrated or underrated mustaches?
Underrated. 100% underrated. The mustache is the ultimate form of peacocking. There's nothing else that tops that level. So in terms of just pure testosterone and masculinity, the mustache is like the star on top of your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like there's
Like almost literally. Yeah.
Yeah, the tree is cool and all, but it's the star that makes the whole thing work. A beard is kind of like the Christmas lights. Like, yeah, the lights are cool. There's more of them. They give all the pizzazz, but you're drawn to the star.
Yeah. How long has it been? Like, when was the last time that you didn't have a prominent mustache?
Well, I started the mustache when I was 20. And before then, I had rocked a goatee. But for Halloween, me and some buddies back in college, we went as Anchorman. So there was 4 of us that all dressed up as Anchorman. So we went to Goodwill and got these like really well-used 70 suits. And so I cut a mustache and I looked around at everyone else and they got the worst mustache ever. They're like using their girlfriend's makeup to like pencil it in. I'm like, oh man, I gotta fill that spot. So I cut it and I go, I don't know, man, it looks pretty good. So Halloween was over. I'm like, nah, I'm not growing a goatee back. Come on. That's reserved for like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like the mustache is, I said this, as soon as you're old enough that your mustache isn't all pencily and thin, I don't know. You got to stick with the mustache.
So like what year was this in when you did this?
That would have been 2010.
Okay. Yeah. So,
or 2011.
Yeah.
So Ron Burgundy really did change the generation, didn't he?
No, I went as Brian Fontana.
Good. Yeah.
So I would have ran with a bottle of Sex Panther.
Yeah.
Good.
Good news. The results are in. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated. So congratulations. You can add that to your bios and stuff now.
I'm going to put that on my resume.
Yes. Yes. It'll look good on LinkedIn. No, that kind of covers what we wanted to talk to you about. It. We really appreciate having you on. Is there anything we didn't talk to you about that you want to get out there or anything like that?
No, I came in here unprepared. So
that is just the way we like it.
Well, you did great.
I didn't have anything out there.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, I would tell people if they're not following you, check you out at Wall Street Weightlifter on Instagram. I don't know, we're Instagram biased because it's what we use very often. You're probably on other things too. You probably have a link tree and Instagram where they could.
Yeah, I do have a question though.
Yeah.
How did Massenomics start?
I hope you have 5.5 hours.
Well, how much time do you got?
Yeah. Massenomics started in like 2014, 2015. Originally there was 4 of us kind of towards the very beginning, and we were going to do a YouTube vlogging thing. And then we decided, hey, let's start a podcast. So we've had the podcast going. This is episode 387. We haven't missed a week in 387 weeks. So it's been going for over 7.5 years. So that's been a big part of it. And then we started a gym in, we call it Western Northeast South Dakota. That's where I live. That's where the Massenomics gym is. We've had that for 7 or 8 years now too. And then, then we sell merchandise, which that kind of grew after the podcast and gym. How it actually started is Tommy and I were training together in a local YMCA. And I said, hey, I want to do this stupid YouTube thing. and Tommy's a graphic designer, and he said, well, I could make a logo for that. I said, wow, a logo. That would, I think a logo is what would
That's
really
what's going
get
to
this
take
thing
it to
off
the next
ground.
level, right?
And then we got together on it a little bit and started the business. So that's like the 5-minute version, but we could probably talk about that for 5.5 hours.
When did you get into the meme game?
Oh boy, that probably would have been, I don't know, a couple years in. Do you think, Tanner?
Yeah, I would say by like 2016, 2017, we really were like, oh, we can get some traction on Instagram. So if we post maybe 2 memes for every one thing that's actually about us or the things we sell, we can get some, we're like, well, we can't get anyone just to like our t-shirt that says Massenomics on it. But if we post something funny about Ronnie Coleman and then talk about Ed Cohn being short and, I say that Ed, he's our buddy, but like, we kind of found a formula where we can be kind of goofy. And then the memes particularly work for us because everything we do, we kind of have a less than serious tone about it. Like that's kind of our thing, is like never to take anything too seriously. So that kind of fits in. But yeah, we try to make a funny meme from time to time. It doesn't always work out, but we try.
I think the memes are how I found the page. I saw one of the memes, and it was, you know how you go down the rabbit hole on stuff? So I clicked one, and I was like, oh, man, that one's pretty good. And I opened it. And you can tell, like, when someone is actually, like, involved in whatever they're doing. So I was like, man, these guys know too much about powerlifting to get all these right. Like, there's too many in here that each one is like, oh, you have to be involved to know like that particular thing.
No, and we've both competed in several powerlifting meets and strongman competitions, and we're very intermediate is usually the word we like to describe
what we
ourselves
lack
as,
in sheer ability, we make up for in self-deprecating humor, I guess.
Yeah. Very true. So yeah, we'll try and keep the memes coming. I probably would hate to admit how much time I spend making memes. It'd be an embarrassing. We talk about time and value and what you spend time in. I think even if I'm not making them, I'm thinking about them. Like I don't watch a movie anymore and not at least once throughout the movie think, yeah, I could use that. That applies
that clip
to
right there. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know what that means yet, but it just
There's
sticks.
something there.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome. We appreciate having you on. This is really cool. I think you're kind of south of Sacramento area in there, right? Is that kind of
about 2 hours south?
Okay. Well, if you ever make it to Western Northeast South Dakota, you've always got an invite here with us. But if we make it to California sometime, maybe we'll try and look you up and see if you can teach us how to overhead squat 95 pounds.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do a tour, or you can do
a free week pass.
You can do a tour. They've got Alan Thrall up there.
That's
out
what
in Sacramento.
we would check out Alan Thrall, and we're buddies with Jim McD and Silent Mike in Sacramento. 3rd Street Barbell is their gym, so we actually probably will make that trip to northern-ish California at some point in time. So if we ever do, we probably will hit you up.
Perfect.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Graciano.
Right, thanks.
Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool beans.
There it is.
Gave him the double serving of cool beans.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still just trying to wrap my head around the fact that he went 5.5 hours on table talk.
That is a long time.
It's a really long time.
Yeah. You better hit us with an ad.
Yeah, good call.
So we don't break 5.5 hours here.
Today's show is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell, building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. Fast forward to 2023, and Buddy has now released the 29mm Texas Power Bar. It's strong as a house with the best knurling. It's maintenance-free, and If it hasn't happened yet, I'm sure it's about to set hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records. To learn more about the Texas Power Bar and to buy one of the new legendary 29 millimeter Texas Power Bars, visit TexasPowerBars.com.
Thank you, Texas Power Bars. Little PSA, just even in the time we've been recording today, we had 2 orders come in on website of people ordering, drink spotter shirts, stuff like that, that both then emailed minutes after the order to let me know they put in the wrong shipping address when they ordered it.
Really?
That happens a surprising amount. And it's Apple Pay. Here's a PSA. If you use Apple Pay, people always don't update their address.
Yeah.
Nobody. What I found in the history of Apple Pay, nobody has ever once updated their address before they get caught doing this.
Yeah,
this happens like multiple times a month.
That is the problem, because have you ever bought anything online with Apple Pay?
No,
because you just literally hit the Apple Pay button and you're done. That's the beauty of it. But there's no spot where it's like, hey, just double check your shipping info.
Right.
Like there's no way to do that. So
that's not, I see the value of that, but that happens all the time.
And even when you say that, that just reminds me, when I did move, that happened to me once, and I'm trying to think of what the hell it was. Because I remember what was extra annoying about it was I bought it. And then immediately, I see my confirmation email. I realize immediately I'm wrong. The website I bought something from doesn't let you update your shipping information. You had to just cancel the order, and then I had to put a second order in. I'm like, all right, this is a pain in the ass now.
Right.
So God, I wish I could remember what I bought.
Time saver. It was
Instead, it turned into just this huge issue. But yeah, you're 100% right. That is Apple Pay for you.
Yeah. You take the good with the bad, don't you? In that scenario. How do you feel about a sack segment?
I'd love a sack segment.
You know what? Changing it. This isn't a sack segment. This is now, maybe from now on, this is a bag segment. What's in the bag?
What's in the bag, baby?
What's in the bag?
All right. It was also hilarious to me. Someone put in I think was it Jen maybe put in the Discord? It had people from Minnesota and Wisconsin saying words. And we've been coming under a lot of criticism for the way we pronounce words, to the point where I was really starting to think maybe I actually don't pronounce words correctly. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm an idiot and I didn't learn to read good and talk good in school. And once they had the Minnesota lady talk, like, she talks exactly like me. We are one and the same. We both say bag and wagon and flag and brat and vot. We say it all the same. It's all the same. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, it's just this part of the country. We're all good here.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing that spiked part of that this week, it was from last week's episode, the root beer.
Root beer, yes. Beer. Yeah, because someone's like, they're like, well, what do you call the thing on top of your house? And we say, a roof. Right?
It's root, roof, and what's on the bottom of a horse's foot? A hoof.
Yeah.
And
the flip side of that, I understand you can say root, roof, and hoof, but I don't say those words.
What you just did there, if somebody says those words that way, that's what I feel like they're doing. I'm like, why are you like, why? What's with the overemphasis? Why is it a roof?
Yeah.
Like a roof?
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's like what a dog says. It's a roof. And that's not just us. That's everyone says that.
I mean, that is and I made the comment, well, I feel like that's more dialect than accent, but then I guess accent really just is a piece of the total dialect. Yeah. But what I mean by that is it's not in the accent. It's not just like, oh yeah, you kind of just say that one word funny. That is literally how everyone
it's not just
says
us.
Those words intentionally.
Yes.
And it's like, when you hear it the other way, it's like that. I mean, maybe that is accent by definition here, but like, what I'm saying is it's a very intentional accent on those, especially those words.
It's like I will say root beer to be funny, like root beer, like that's like, because it's just so like, outlandish that someone would say it like that. Yeah.
Like, top of the morning to you, mate. Like.
Yeah, like
let me have a sip of my root beer on my roof.
Yeah. And then we'll go on horseback and hoof it over.
My hooves, Daddy, my hooves. Look at my hooves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But that's funny, like
even actually, I think I can't remember who now. Someone said, "Oh, I enjoyed when Tommy said Dragon Ball Z in the." And I'm like, I don't even know there's anything I said wrong in there. To me, that is all Dragon Ball Z. That's the name of the show, right?
So it is also the funny thing, you think about something too long and long enough, and you don't even know, like, how do I say that? And it all sounds weird. You know, I don't even know.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, but that root, someone made the comment, well, you guys don't know how to say your OOs together, and they rattle off these. And my example, my one alternative was, well, how do you pronounce book? Because you don't say book.
Book.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I can't wait to sit down and read a good book. Not that it's not
Book.
apples to apples,
Roof.
but they're my point there is just that there are exceptions.
There are.
English language for
Learn it.
you. And speaking of that, what's in the bag? I didn't know this was coming. I barely know who this is from. There's no note. I did a little reasoning. This is pretty funny, but this is from supporting member. I determined this is from supporting member Big Devin from North Carolina. And do you know what was in the bag? I did not know this was coming. I was like, what is this?
No idea. I don't know.
You know what was in the bag?
What?
A bag.
Oh, chalk bag. Chalk, B-E-G, chalk bag. That's
They
amazing.
sent us a custom
embroidered
made.
Massenomics chalk bag.
It's
That's
got the
great.
Massenomics logo on it, and it says chalk bag.
That's
B-E-G.
amazing. I love that.
And I thought that I opened that up, and that made me laugh out loud.
That's very funny.
So, I don't know what trouble they went to make this, but I can tell you, for what it's worth, this made me laugh when I opened it.
That's funny.
I didn't know it was coming. There's no note. A lot of times it's like
people at least
there's more to it, and I just want to make sure one last time that I'm not missing some note. But yeah, so I believe, thank you, Big Devin from North Carolina, for the chalk.
That's great.
Bag.
I love that.
It also doubles as a mitten. Winter's coming soon, so
it worked better if you had a hoof, Tanner. So,
my hooves, Daddy, my hooves.
just cover your little stumpy hoof.
Oh, see,
so well.
this is like the mitten thing.
Cinch
you
it
use to
right on
tighten it
there.
down.
Yeah.
I'm ready for snow blowing weather.
That'll look great in the gym. And what's equally funny is every person's going to be like, "Oh man, did you get this for free because someone spelled it wrong?"
Yes, most of the people in the gym that do not listen to the Massenomics podcast will not get the joke, but there'll be a few of them.
Yeah, they'll be very confused what to do with the chalk bag.
Yes, I love it.
That's really good.
Although, practically speaking, I don't often have a reason to take chalk with me because, Massenomics gym and all, but I will make sure to hang this on the chalk.
That's sort of, in my mind, it was just going to be hanging off
where
the wood chalk bowl is where that belongs.
Right, for sure. So thank you. Awesome.
That's great. That's amazing.
Sack segment. And if you're not watching, I keep holding this up and I forget, 90% of the people that listen to this don't see anything anyways, but check it out on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel also. So that's what's in the bag. What's in the sack? What did you have? What's CB? I don't know what's
that was actually the chicken bake. Okay. I was going to bring it up a little more because it is really developing a bit of a cult status here on the Discord.
So have you had it?
Oh, yeah. Actually,
okay.
I got it probably, it was a few months ago because even if...
Did it come from the Discord conversation why you got it? Or
because I remember Jeff bringing it up multiple times in the Discord. And I'm like, okay.
Big Jeff, shout out, loves
financial advisor.
Also
Jeff.
Big Luke, big on the chicken bake too.
But I remember Jeff bringing it up and thinking, okay, I got to see what this is about. So one time when I was done at Costco, actually, no. I took my boy there. It was like a weekend. We had nothing going on. I'm like, we're going to go to the Costco food court. And I took him there and he got a
field trip.
I got him a hot dog and I got the chicken bake because I had to see what that was all about. And,
what's your rating out of a,
I'd actually like to try it again because I honestly didn't realize the protein was that high when I got it. If you were to tell me to recite what I thought the numbers were, I thought it was like 18 or 20 protein. So now looking back on it, actually understanding what the macro breakdown is, I think I'd go into it with a little different perspective. I do remember at the time thinking it was kind of like the Hot Pocket thing where it was just so insanely hot that I couldn't enjoy like the first half of it. because it was just burning me.
You just
and then
burning your mouth.
And then by the last half, you're like, well, I've just been burning my mouth so much, I'm kind of over it at this point.
Right.
But taste wise, I thought it was fine. It was like the best thing I ever ate. But for $3, I mean, you can't have your standards too high. So from a taste test, it totally passed the thing. But I would really like to go have it again now that I know what the macro breakdown is. What'll happen, Tanner, whenever we do our official Crew Falls meetup, is we'll just have a day where we'll get you a chicken bake. We'll go hit up.
So that's like, tell me the meals here.
Well, because I was already thinking in my head, we'll have to do breakfast at the International, what the hell is it called?
Not International House of Pancakes.
What the hell is that thing called?
That's IHOP.
Yeah, I know it, and I always mess this up. I got to type it in. It's just driving me crazy. Original Pancake House. There we go.
Okay.
So we got to get you the 5 egg omelet or whatever the hell it is at the Original Pancake House.
Yep.
And then at some point you'll have to get the chicken bake in, and then that's all the farther.
Full day.
That's all the farther I'm
eating.
into the meal part right now. But we can find more things to add in the mix there. But those are the only 2 I got figured out right now. Make a great video.
And actually, because I would gorge myself at the Pancake House.
Oh, you'd have to space it out.
Chicken bake is maybe not a bad lunch though. Like it was just like, I could just eat like a chicken bake here. I'm still full almost. So
yeah, it's only 700 calories, so it's just not much to it.
That's true, I guess.
And then for dinner, we can figure out something else. There's we got Chislic spots. The Chislic is in Aberdeen too, so I don't know. We'll figure out something for dinner there. A mid-afternoon snack and dinner.
Yeah, the first 2 there are winners.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I guess Raising Cane's maybe. It's got a little.
Well, they don't have a Raising Cane's here.
Oh,
Slim Chickens. We could hit up Slim Chickens.
Yeah,
get you to experience that. Maybe stop in to end the night at Applebee's. Some 2-for-1 appetizers or something. If you're lucky.
Yeah, happy hour apps. And margs.
That's right.
Apps and margs, baby. Keep them coming. Okay.
So stay tuned for more chicken bake news is the takeaway there.
Stay tuned for more chicken bake. We talked about Build Fast formula a little bit earlier today because it's part of what we give away in our 50K sale that we coming up next week. But just to hammer it on a little bit more, I was looking most specifically at their 80-20. That is their protein. And here's the scoop on the 80-20 protein. 80-20 bestows the perfect blend of casein and whey found in nature for on-natural muscle growth for elevated and sustained muscle building. So if you haven't picked it up yet, it's like 80-20 is the ratio from casein to whey. It's 80% casein and 20% whey protein in this. Jumpstart muscle building with whey protein after a workout to get the gains you deserve. Feel satisfied longer with casein protein, fueling muscle growth and repair for up to 6 hours after downing. Mix easily in a shaker bottle, blender bottle, or in my case, it mixes easily in your oatmeal in the morning. That's where I put mine, a lot of it in my oatmeal concoction that I have.
You can put anything in that damn oatmeal concoction.
Oh, it's making me hungry for oatmeal with 80-20 protein and just thinking about it. So check it out, Build Fast Formula, buildfastformula.com. Use our discount code Massenomics. That'll save you 10% on your initial order there. And also, if you sign up for any of their subscription ordering models, that'll save you 10% on top of that. So you could actually save a total of 20%. Discount code Massenomics. Thank you, Build Fast Formula.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Swisslink. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded Swisslink with the mission to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Yes, that does include the wool pants that you've been thinking about. The classic wool pant. I'm still, I don't wear my wool pants until after Labor Day, so I haven't bought them yet, Tanner, but it's just around.
You're not supposed to wear wool pants till after Labor Day?
It's just around the corner here. Then the wool pants are coming out, and you're going to be sorry that you didn't get a pair, but there's still time. Go to Swisslink.com, and you can pick up your.
You too could have wool pants.
You too could pick up your very own pair of Swisslink Classic wool pants. That's
first
right.
person to first Massenomics listener to order and tag us in a pair of Swisslink wool pants gets a free sticker pack.
Yeah, preferably
and one of these bottle openers from that we got from Freedom Fitness Equipment.
Do you think wool pants are kind of like a cast iron skillet? You don't really wash them; they just get better with age.
Yeah, you can't get them wet, or else then they lose their seasoning,
or they just shrink. They just shrink to nothing. They shrink.
Then you have to re-season
pants.
your wool pants.
You have to re-season it in the dishwasher. If you would like to go in on this wool pants experiment with the rest of us, visit swisslink.com, and while you're there, make sure to use code MASS at checkout. That's MASS, and that will save you 15% on anything in the store, even a pair of nice wool pants. Thank you, Swisslink.
Thanks, Swisslink. Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz lately about our all go no show tee. Speaking of things we've got for sale, if you guys are lucky, that might even be in our 50 hour sale.
Yeah, that'd be like
no show.
That'd be like pouring gasoline on a fire.
That's been a lot. Like all I hear about lately, it feels like people talking about our all go no show
It's
tee.
just
It's
a
like
ruckus.
it's a little underrated for a while. Now there's like a run on that thing, and I don't think we're gonna. I mean,
I want to tell
as of
people
now, at least we're not planning on reprinting that shirt. So if you do not end up on the wrong side of history when this sells out, and you say, "Oh, dang it, you're all out of the all go no show tee," you'll be sorry.
I just think of what all the people that bought it first think of this newfound
right, all the hype
exposure
now.
on
It's
it.
like,
Yeah,
well,
they're like, well,
it's like when you thought I guess it's when you liked something before it was mainstream.
yeah,
right?
they like found
You're
the band
snobby.
before they took off, and now that the all go no show tee is having its 5 seconds of fame and everyone wants it, the people that have had it the whole time, they know they were there first.
So there is still decent, as the time of recording this, inventory of the all go no show tee and most sizes, but I assume it's not going to last for very long. And then that is your last chance to get in on the all go no show tee. And it is all go no show. Like, it's not just a clever name. That is what that shirt's all about. And just to recap our sale one more time, it starts Tuesday, September 5th at noon Central Time. It's going to go for 50 hours until Thursday, September 7th at 2 p.m. Central Time. You get 50% off at least 20 items in our store. No code needed for that. They're just going to already be marked down 50% off. That's insane. On top of that, 50 cents off each order you put in during that 50-hour sale with code 50, F-I-F-T-Y, spell the word out. The sale lasts for 50 hours. In addition to all of that, every order that comes in that time frame, in that 50 hours, gets put into the drawing to win. Number one grand prize is going to be a pair of ergonomic shoes. 3 other winners are going to receive supplements from Build Fast Formula.
Vaso Blitz.
Obviously, that's the one you should pick. But I mean, it's up to the person, but obviously that's what they're picking.
We know what they're going to go with.
Yeah, but it's going to be the Vaso Blitz. But you're getting the Vaso Blitz even if you want something else. Whoever gets that wins the ergonomic shoes is probably going to be like, can I actually get the Vaso Blitz instead?
Is this worth 2 Vaso Blitz?
Yeah. So do you think it's Vaso or Vaso?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it Vasonomics or Vasonomics?
Yeah, that's a good point. There is a case to be made. I've probably talked about this before.
I love hearing whenever there's a case to be made for something.
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
Massenomics. I came up with, like, I think I wrote that down at some point in time.
Yeah.
The E.
It's
it just looks normal because this is
it?
what's been forever, this E.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm holding it up if you don't know how Massenomics is spelled.
11
This
letters.
obviously seems to be logical and makes sense to me now, but there's like 8 years of bias into that when I look at that. But sometimes I actually wonder, should that be an E?
You mean an O?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. You're saying, should it actually be an E?
Right.
And the option would be you replace it with an O, correct?
An O.
Yeah.
An O.
Well, first of all,
but that sounds weird.
Yeah, the first thing is
Massenomics.
it's a made-up word, so you can spell it however you want. Just look at how 90% of companies are named now. They just take a common noun and remove all remove all vowels, and then you just are supposed to know how it goes.
Yeah.
But so there's no. I mean, we can do whatever we want, but I do get possibly using an O. But at the same time, I can see how some people would say Massenomics, and it's not Massenomics. I don't know. Maybe no one would say it that way either.
Right. Economics. Economics.
See, I think the E though helps with the economics part of it though, you know.
Right.
Because the most common mispronunciation is
Mace.
Macenomics, which is funny.
Yeah,
But,
I don't get that. Well, but is that because of the E?
I think it is. I think that's where they're getting that from. But I always get surprised when that's the time people decide to use that phonetic.
Right. That pairing. Back to the English language here again. Yeah.
But
whereas if it was an O, maybe they wouldn't make that.
Maybe not. I don't know. It still is. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just like the look of Massenomics as much though.
But I definitely don't, and it sounds odd to me when I say it. But then I'm like, do we only think if it always would have been an O, would this just seem?
Oh, then
so
we'd be
weird?
saying, if you used an E, it'd be saying Macenomics.
Yeah. Right. So that's the thought exercise on that. I think I did along those lines. Just one other thing that I wanted to touch on. It was from our Q&A episode, like the one possible regret. You could, or I think that was a question or something like that. It's not this. Many times I've thought Massenomics Gym. I never thought about it at the time, but in hindsight, I've thought, should I have originally called it Massenomics Barbell Club?
I guess I like Massenomics Gym. It's way shorter.
I do
and to
probably
the
like
point.
it better. I've just had, it's not a regret, but it is just a thought that's come into my head, like 10 times. I've thought, would have Massenomics Barbell Club?
Honestly, I always thought it felt like more like that was a hipster name for a gym. Like, because honestly,
it is,
there's no
right?
real distinguishing factor of like this. Oh no, this is not a gym. This is a barbell club.
This
it's
is
just
a
a different
barbell
name
club.
to have a
Right.
gym. And it's like, these three
It
letters.
is kind of a club, though, too. People do describe it as Massenomics Gym. People will be like, oh, it's kind of like a club.
Yeah, but no one thinks of a barbell club in that way. They just think of it like,
No.
you just thought of a way to take the term gym and make it 5 times longer,
Right. Right. That's true. I guess you could call it MBC then. You could have an acronym in that case.
Yeah. Well, acronyms are overrated, though. That's it. I think people need to understand, it's the worst. It's not.
From a marketing standpoint.
From a marketing standpoint, it's so dumb to come up with a company name with the idea that,
and then erase it.
the first thing I want to do with my company name is just take it down to 3 random letters of the alphabet. It's like, all right, you know what people have a hard time remembering? A name. You know what they have a harder time remembering? 3 random ass letters. Like, don't do that to your company name if you don't absolutely have to, or if you're not one of the biggest companies in the world.
Right. Yeah. If you're
IBM, okay, yeah, you can do it. You're IBM.
Well, then you're IBM and it becomes it transcends.
Your HP computers. Okay, yeah, you can do HP. You've been doing that
right.
for 30 years, and you've spent how many billions of dollars to
and
get that
everyone
across.
has your computer.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, you're a local business and you want your company, your name's really long, and so you abbreviate it to IHTB. What?
It's like, fuck, I don't even know what they do.
Yeah.
If at least it was the full name, I might have an idea what the business they're in.
Right, yeah. Your name doesn't tell me anything. I can't remember the letters. I can't even find you on Google now because I don't know what to type in. Yep, don't do it. Don't do it, people.
That's free advice.
You only had to wait 2 hours to get it.
Yeah. Anything else? We need to wrap this one up with a bow on it.
I think that's it. Go take advantage of that sale.
You only got 50 hours, people. You only get one shot, one opportunity, one chance. Don't let it slip.
You better lose yourself in the music.
The moment. That's it. That's all, folks. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
So you.